I am Sophia Nahawi, Adult Services Associate at the Pratt Free Library. Thank you for joining us for Pratt Test Kitchen with Atiya Wells, Garden Manager at Patterson Park, hosted by Northwood Branch Manager Kinshasa Vargas-Pile.
So this is not Patterson Park?
This is not Patterson Park. That was a joke. That was just a kidding moment. Tell us, where are we?
BLISS Meadows.
BLISS Meadows.
Yes.
Known also as
Backyard Basecamp.
Backyard Basecamp.
All Pratt Library locations are open across the city at 50% capacity, so we hope to see you if you haven't been back to visit us already. And since we're all vaccinated, we are all here today outside in this wonderful weather, maskless, about to learn more about BLISS Gardens. But first, Atiya Wells. Atiya Wells is a pediatric nurse, outdoor educator, and the founder, executive director of Backyard Basecamp, Inc. While learning more about our natural world, she often noticed that she was one of the few, if not the only, person of color in the room. By diving into research and history, she learned that ancestral wounding and historical trauma are key players in the lack of diversity in environmental programming. She has since dedicated her time to slowly reintroducing her community to nature by starting in their own backyards. So, without further ado, please give a warm virtual welcome to Atiya Wells and Kinshasa Vargas-Pile.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. I was mentioning I was here, I think, a little over a year and maybe a half ago, and all this was not here, like not to this level, and I'm just so grateful. What I love about being here is this is literally like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes from my house, and it's just this kind of hideaway paradise, which I think is so phenomenal, and it's not only great, it's great for all audiences. So I'm just gonna start up with like my standard questions, and then we'll like go from there. So, okay. Where is your garden located, and what do you grow?
Right now, we are located in Northeast Baltimore, so we are in the Frankfort neighborhood of Baltimore City, the tippity top of the Northeast quadrant, right off of Bel Air and Frankfort. And right now, what we have in the ground is we're growing indigo from mica. We're also growing some French marigolds and some English marigolds. We still have peppers in the ground. We have sweet potatoes. We have carrots. We have onions. We have, what's that? Cilantro, dill, parsley.
Wow.
We have a lot growing
Okay.
inside of our market garden. And then in our orchard, we have some persimmon trees and peaches and apples and plums and hazelnuts. And we're experimenting with pecans to see if we can get them to grow in this zone. So that's what's growing here now.
How large is your space?
So, excuse me, the BLISS Meadows project is a 10-acre land reclamation project, and so we have 3 acres of that consists of the farm and meadow, and then we have 7 acres of woods directly behind us, and
Wow.
we manage all of it as one cohesive project.
That is amazing. How, I would say, do you have a staff, or is this a, I know you have like a manager, right, as well? So can you kind of go like, basically, how does this work? Like,
yeah. So fortunately, over the past year and a half, as people have heard our story and supported our work, we've been able to hire on some folks to help us in part-time or full-time capacity. So there's myself as the executive director. We have Jordan Bethia, who's our production manager, who manages all of the growing aspects of the operation. And we have Sage Dillard, who's our farm manager, and she manages the administrative portion of running a farm, as well as some of the animal husbandry aspects of what we do here. We have Jasmine, who's our volunteer coordinator. You may see her towards the end of this because we have some volunteers coming at 4 o'clock. And then we also have a programs person who we're recruiting right now so that we can start next over the winter and the spring, really gear up our programming for next year and have some events and things at BLISS Meadows.
That is amazing. Like a true force of nature, right?
Yeah.
So what introduced you to community gardening? Or was that the focus or no?
Yes, it absolutely was the focus. I would say when I initially started, I just wanted people to develop a relationship with nature and get closer to, you know, spend time outside and really reap the benefits of being outdoors. But then the book Farming While Black came out, and I read a lot about food access and food inequity and food apartheid. And I really started thinking about Baltimore City as a whole. And, you know, before I read that book, I didn't know any of those terms. I just knew that we didn't have any food options. Like when we were driving from our home to over west where my in-laws live, I was like, there's no food around here. Like, what are people eating? Where are they going to eat?
No grocery stores.
No grocery stores. And that made me, so once I read that, and I was like, oh, like there's a reason all of this has happened. And it has a lot to do with zoning codes and blockbusting and just the way that communities of color have been treated in multiple cities on the East Coast. Is the reason why we don't have access to those things. Nature, parks, and green spaces being one of those things. And so when I found this site as I was walking around my neighborhood, I was like, we really need to have a site that has all of those elements. So I want to introduce healthy food and start a community garden. I want to have people get closer to nature. We have ponds, we have woods, you know, just have this be a multi-use space for our community to really make use of in a way that makes sense to them and that feels good to them.
Okay. I would say, how many community gardeners? Do you have community gardeners, people that have plots here, or no? Does it work that way?
Not right now. It's funny you mentioned that because when we first started this project, that was not an initial part of our model of having plots that people could tend here, because in this neighborhood, most people have a front yard and a backyard. And so we really wanted to encourage people to grow at home.
Okay.
But we have
like
noticed,
backyard.
Yes, back in their backyards. Start a backyard garden. But we've noticed over the past year with COVID being what it was, a lot of people coming here, you know, just to enjoy the atmosphere, and a lot of elderly people in this neighborhood who live alone asked us that specific question, like, can we grow our own stuff here? Wow. And we were like, you know what? We're going to build some plants. We're going to build some planter boxes for you. And so you see these like wooden slats here is where we're going to build out some planter boxes that are going to be waist high and wheelchair accessible for neighbors who have those physical challenges to be able to come here and grow their own stuff and reap that, you know, reap the benefits of having their hands in the soil, of the social benefits of just being outside and talking to people. So yeah, we will. That's coming soon in the next month or so.
Okay. What are some ways that people, our audience, like if they wanted to, I guess, support your efforts or participate or volunteer, like what would they do to say, you know what, this seems like a great cause, something I want to do, I want to learn more, or they just want to learn more? Yeah. I know you're also an educator.
Yes.
Like I want to know more about, I want to do what you do, but maybe in my neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions?
I do. We absolutely welcome that. We welcome people to visit our website, backyardbasecamp.org. And we say that you can give time, talent, or treasure. And so if you go to our donate page, it has all of those links. So if you want to give your time as a volunteer, you can click on that link, and there'll be a form for you to fill out to get on our volunteer list. If you want to give treasure, that's monetary donations. You can click on that link and you'll be taken to a form to give a monetary donation. And talent being, you know, if you have a service that you like to offer in kind, you can click on that link and it'll take you to a form to do so. And on the website, on the About Us page, there's a Contact Us form that folks can fill out if they want to learn more, if they want to ask us questions about how we got started. We are not in the business of franchising, so we will not start a BLISS Meadows in another neighborhood, but we welcome if folks have, you know, their eye on a vacant lot in their neighborhood, if they want to talk to us and we'll resource share and network and put them in contact with the right people at the city level, at the state level, whatever level they need in order to get started.
What are some of the partnerships, or do you outside? I see Micah is one of them.
Yes.
Indigo and Marigold, I'm assuming. What are some of the other partnerships that you have within Baltimore?
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Okay, how about, can we talk
I need to make a list.
Okay, so maybe you're like, okay, the top 5 ones that maybe people came to you and were like, okay, we want to be part of this.
So one major one that we partner with is the Baltimore Orchard Project. I told you we just planted our orchard in April, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So we have over 50 fruit trees that they helped us plant in the ground, and then in February they're going to come and help us prune them and teach people how to maintain fruit trees if they plant them in their own yards.
Okay.
There's an organization called Ridge to Reefs, which we partner with on a lot of big grants in order to get a lot of the work done here. So like when we had to clear the site, we partnered with them to write a grant to the Chesapeake Bay Trust to get some large equipment in here to clear the site, do a little bit of grading work so that we can see what we are working with.
Okay, right.
There's an organization called EnviroCollab and Cityscape who helped us with our site planning and design work. Cityscape is, they're civil engineers, so they help us think about our stormwater management plans. Baltimore City Recreation and Parks is another partner because the 7 acres of woods that we have is technically a city park that has been abandoned.
Oh, wow.
And so we started a Friends of group in order to help maintain that space and create the nature trails and play spaces to really get our community out here and using and making use of that park. They call it activation or reactivation of the space. So those are our major partners that we work with locally.
Okay. Is there a story that you'd like to share about community impact or empowerment within your journey?
That's a good question. There are many, many stories. Can I tell you two?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so one story I want to start off with is involving food distribution. So every Saturday we host a food distribution here from about 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and we have like 140 boxes of produce that we give away, and we like give people alerts. We email them, say, hey, come get these boxes, y'all, come get this food. And in the beginning, like people would just like pull up, get their box and be out. But now we've noticed that like people are getting out of their cars and they're like walking down. They like want tours of this space. So it's not just about them coming to get their box and leave. It's about like them spending time with us and like asking us questions.
Being part of community.
Yeah, being part of it and like getting to know each other. Like, oh, what do you mean you live on that street? I live on that street.
I love it.
And you know, folks who can't make it to come get boxes, you can see them posting comments on like our Facebook post or our Nextdoor post saying, I can't make it today, can somebody pick me up a box? And then you'll see somebody like, yeah, I'll get you one. Where do you live? PM me your address and I'll drop it off for you.
Awesome.
So just like building that community. And also when we talk about like reconnecting people to land and nature, I always like to tell this story of this boy that lives down the street who I took a group of the kids in his neighborhood in the woods for the first time last summer, and you know they were like really afraid to be in there at first, so we didn't go too far in. We maybe walked like a minute or so in, then we turned around and came right back. But that same day I noticed, you know, like they kept going back and then they would come back out, and then they would go back in for a longer period of time, and then they would come back out, and then they would go back in for like 15 more minutes, and then they would come back out. And now, like whether we're here or not, you'll just see them running down to go into the woods. So it's been I love seeing that, like when I'm here and they're like, all right, let's go, y'all, and then they just all run down, or like they'll stop and say hi to us, of course, but then they'll like go do what they do, and then you know, they'll like run and tell their parents about the adventures that they've been on. And the last time I saw them, I actually stopped and talked to his mom, and she was like, yeah, he told me they'd be going in there. And I was like, you really do? Like, it's a trail? And he was like, yeah, they made a trail for us. They did this for us. So it's really heartwarming to see that the community is really using the space for its intended purposes. And when we get around to the pond, I'll show you a little notebook that we have where people are like writing how they feel about being in this space. It's really like tearjerkers.
I can imagine, because like I was here, like I said, it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and where this kind of idea had started, and I was like, I just want to show the community gardens. You know, it's my term, and I know, and hopefully nobody's offended. I consider these an oasis in the ghetto. Like that's how I see it. It's like these things that you just didn't expect. This bit of paradise. Right. So before we like do our walk and stuff, you know, the last time I was here, and I was just curious, I know you had talked about also creating a space for education as far as classrooms and that kind of stuff, and I know you have this kind of building or thing that it's kind of like I guess, an abandoned home.
Yeah.
A building.
Yeah.
And I know you were fundraising to try to kind of get gut it out and do all that stuff, and then pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit of your vision, your continued vision for this space before we start kind of walking around?
Yeah, like I said, it's just multi-use space. I want people to like come here and pick their own vegetables. I want people to be able to come here and pick their own fruit. I want folks to be able to come here and sit by the pond, take a walk through the forest if they want to. I think what the mistake that some places make is that they really want to control how people engage with their space. We have that relationship with nature yet. In order to sort of bridge that gap and get to start appreciating nature as a place for them, then they need to be able to have the freedom to really engage with the place as much as they want to, how they want to. And so, went across the street, like when she first went over here, she was like, "Oh, this grass make me itch." But she comes over here like every day now. So I'm like, you ain't itching no more, huh?
I love it. I love it.
Like she'll come with it, she'll stop at the chicken, she'll go see the goats. So it's really, and the fact that people want to come back every time really like gets us going, because we're like, all right, people really like this, people really like this. How can we expand on that? How can we get more people out here? With some conditions, because we are like in the middle of a neighborhood. Right. So it's just, us thinking a lot about how people, and observing how people use the space, and then thinking about ways that we can enhance that. So if people are just walking down, maybe we can provide some benches along the main trail so that they can stop and sit, or maybe we provide some seating areas in the middle so people can like read or paint or do whatever in that space. So I think that's one thing that we learned when we first started this project, when we started on our site plan. We had no idea like how folks were going to use the space, but now that we've seen them over the past year and a half, we're like, okay, this is where people are stopping, this is what people are doing. We need to make sure that we have this here and that we have that here. We need a hand washing station there. We need to make sure we have somewhere that people can fill up their water bottles. So like all these little things that we really didn't think about in the beginning are like
I see you got a porta potty.
We got a porta potty now. We're gonna get some seating and some shade up there. We'll have our on-site farm stand, and just really making the space beautiful and usable. Like, yes, it is a farm, but like, and, some farms just have stuff thrown all over the place. We really want it to be aesthetically pleasing, as much as possible. So like I said, people can feel that sort of safety and feeling like they do belong here.
Well, like I said, it's beautiful. I think what I love about it, one of the things that I got from what you said was, you're basically meeting people where they are.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do in the library.
Yeah.
Like, what I can tell you is like, people going and saying, look, I need to use your computer, or I need to do something. And they're like, but I don't know how to even do this. And it's kind of like meeting them where they are, And so one of the things we do at Pratt is we empower and enrich, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like a part of our mission, that this was something that we do. And so I really wanted to highlight BLISS Meadows because of that. And we have people, like you said, this.
Come sit over here. This is Kai Kai. Here, have a seat, baby.
Yes.
Ooh. There you go.
Kai. And so, I think you sat there for nothing because we're about to get up.
No, we're about to get up.
We're gonna get up. You can come with us. You want to come with us?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Alrighty.
He doesn't have his shoes and he walked all the way over here.
Oh. Well, so what I want to be able to show you guys, so we have we have some goats. We have, we have sheep now, a couple of sheep.
Yes.
And just I want to be able to show, and some chickens, which you might be able to hear.
Yep.
And so we are going to do this, and I'm going to get up and do this.
Let me grab my keys.
Mommy, where are we going?
We're going on a walk. Oh, we're going to put them here.
Mommy, can you grab on me?
Just have a seat.
So where should we go first?
What makes sense to do? We can start in the grow space, maybe.
Okay.
Which I know the sun is kind of in that direction, so we might have to look at it like full on.
Sophia, do we have any questions? Did we have any?
so far.
Okay.
I am keeping an eye on the chat.
Okay.
I love that. So this is our market garden. We had to build this deer fence to protect our crops from the deer that live in the woods. So I'll just come in a little bit, just step on this black plastic so we're not stepping on any of the crops.
Yes.
And so you can see our carrots.
Oh, wow.
These are our onions. We have some kale and collard greens. The marigolds are over there. We have peppers. We have some Trinidadian peppers. My husband's from Trinidad, so we try to grow culturally relevant food as much as possible. Yes, we try to grow culturally relevant food. So in this community, there are a lot of immigrants and refugees that get resettled here, and so we send out a survey pretty much every year asking like what crops do you want us to grow? Like what are you excited about eating? So that we're not like wasting our time growing food that nobody cares about.
Right.
And then behind us are sweet potatoes. Lots of sweet potatoes.
Wow.
And some winter squash on the other side. Have you ever had sweet potato greens?
No.
They are delicious.
Is that right?
Yes. I never had them before until a couple of weeks ago. One of my friends came here and she asked, like, you ever had sweet potato greens before?
Are they sweet?
No, they taste like spinach.
Okay.
But like better.
Okay.
So we just sauteed them with some onions and garlic, salt and pepper, some tomatoes, and some peppers that we have growing here. And I was like, oh, this is my new delicacy.
All right. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. All right.
Here.
I figured we could go and maybe see the chickens.
Yep, we can go see the chickens, and then we can head on into the field. Trying to remember if I have some snacks for the goats.
Oh.
They'll be fine. They'll try to eat your paper. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay, paper.
They will try to the chickens were like the first animals that we introduced to this space, and the neighborhood really enjoyed it. Excuse me, girl.
Come on, lady.
Come in.
How many chickens do you
we have about 12, I think. 12 or 13. I always lose count. This is everyone's favorite here. Come, girl. Hi, baby.
Oh,
This is Angel. She's a silky chicken. And we got different types of... I know! We got different types of chickens on purpose. One, because we knew that kids would be in here and like chasing them around, so we wanted more docile chickens. Ones that like being held and pet and picked up. And these are our talkative girls. Excuse me. So we ran a summer camp this past summer with some preschoolers, and they like helped us collect all of our eggs. Oh, okay. You go. Good girl. And so we got different kinds of chickens on purpose too, because we wanted different color eggs. This is a blue egg from our Easter egger.
I love it.
Our Easter eggers, they lay blue, green, sometimes pink eggs. Excuse me, Zena.
That's cool.
Excuse me. Excuse me, girl. Thank you. And then the other ones lay like brown eggs, or some of them are like this. It's I didn't know that there were so many different types of chickens until I knew we were going to have chickens here.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many different ones. So we have Silky, that's Karen, she's a Polish.
I'm sorry,
Karen.
Okay.
Karen. She's a Polish. And we have our Easter eggers. We have some black Australorps. We have Princess is an olive egger. We have some Brahmas, light Brahmas, and everyone else is pretty much all the same. But yeah, we wanted different ones on purpose. So one, we can tell them apart, and two, so that we can really like manage them with the kids and show them and teach them how to hold chickens and things like that.
So we do have one question. So do you have any roosters, or do you plan to get any roosters?
We did have roosters. We had to get rid of, well, technically you're not supposed to have roosters in the city. Let me just add that little caveat in there. We did have We had 2 roosters. They had to go, so we took them to a farm in the county. And we kept one for a little bit. His name was Rusty. He was a beautiful, beautiful rooster. We were like gonna get rid of him, but then the neighbors were like, no, we love to wake up to his sound. And then he like started being a jerk to the hens, so he had to go. Him and his henchwoman, like, roosters are bad business, man. They really are.
Very territorial,
They
huh?
really are.
Okay.
And it would be one thing, like, if we were able to let the chickens sort of free range in this space, but because we have a lot of predator pressure from the woods, like we have foxes and owls and hawks that live back there, so we don't allow them to really free range out here. Excuse me. But we did build a chicken tractor for them, so we'll like put them in a chicken tractor and roll them out so that they can forage under some protection.
How often do you see the predator? Like
Every morning.
Every morning.
Every morning we'll see the fox like frolicking right down there by the pond. The hawks you'll hear flying around. The owls you'll hear close to the sunset. We also have raccoons and possums. Like, everything wants to eat chicken. So you really need to like keep them protected. And then this is where our small ruminants are. You can come in to this area.
Is that Bagel?
Look, Bagel.
This is Bagel.
Hey, baby Bagel.
And Bagel, and we have Loki.
Oh, hi Loki. And,
And
Lego
Lego.
right here. I'm gonna open this. We're gonna walk in. Close that, please. Thank you. Unless you want to chase a goat.
That one is Bagel, right?
Excuse me. Yep. This is Bagel. Oh, really? Come on.
Hi.
Don't open it.
Don't open that door.
They are sneaky.
The last time I was
They're
here,
right there.
Loki was the escape artist. We didn't know
Yeah.
how Loki got out, but
Nope.
Loki was waiting for us, and
No.
Loki loves people.
Hey, girlfriend. So this is Loki. This is Lego, and that one is Bagel.
Any relation?
No.
So Lego and Loki are like half brother and sister. Bagel, we found him on somebody's porch.
What?
Yeah, it's a whole story. We thought it was Loki. Somebody called Filbert Street and was like, hey, we have a goat on our porch. And I was in Northeast Baltimore, and I was like, Loki! but then we got there, and it was this one. He was smaller. He was a really baby, a true baby. And I was like, oh, that's a baby. It's not ours. So this is Lego. She's the head
checked
goat.
the farm floor first.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
They'll probably try to eat your pants.
Mm-hmm.
Can I come in now?
No. And then we have 2 sheep behind you, Eve and Delilah.
And they're newer?
They are newer. We just got them a couple weeks ago. They do not like people yet.
Okay.
They may try to run away, but together the sheep and the goats sort of help us. Like, they've been eating down all of this brush. This was kind of wild, like how it is back there behind that fence. So they eat down the brush. We let them out into the meadow to graze, and then we bring them back in here.
Come, Bagel. You're a good boy. Good boy.
Come on, Loki.
Loki's like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this. We're like, but are we going out though? Because
That's
Time for
Loki's goal, is to always to figure out how I can get out. I know. Gotta get you back in here.
Yeah,
too.
we do.
So you guys don't go anywhere.
Come on, Bagel. Come.
They're like, no, we really want to.
Come on. Okay, this is my home now.
They're like, no.
Yeah, no, they're gonna stay right here. Corey, can you go in the greenhouse and get the? Actually, I got it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm gonna go get goat's next. No, sorry.
So this is where she's going to try to get, I think, a trait for goats so that they can be lured back into their pen.
And then I can come in?
And then I think you can come in.
Wow,
Oh, they know.
Oh, yeah.
They know.
Yes. Do you see this?
Oh my god.
Come on.
I don't have anything.
There you go.
Can I come in now?
Oh, okay.
Almost.
Okay.
Just wait for mommy to come back. And then we'll leave. Let's get out.
I want to be seen in the camera. Hello.
That's corn. Camera. Oh, really?
They're like, yeah, sure, open the gate.
Let me get that for you. Let me get that for you. Okay. You guys. Where does the bug in the red? No escaping.
Can I give them some?
A little bit. Yes, you may.
Out a little bit.
Just a little bit. So then, like over here, we've started our edible medicinal herb garden that we're actually going to be redesigning in the future, just to make it more in line with the slope. So we'll have them in rows. We were trying to do like a little circle thing that ain't working out.
Is that a labyrinth?
Yeah. Kind of a labyrinth. We were trying to like basically fit a circle into a square and it ain't working. So we're just going to like create some rows and have our herb garden, you know, flow horizontally going down this slope here.
Does that mean you're going to extend the fence for the deer?
No. So we're just plant some deer resistant herbs and flowers around them. So hopefully they won't eat them. But we'll see, because deer are very greedy. So the rest of this will just be native meadow. Here we've started planting some plugs. So we have some echinacea and some, where's some other stuff? We have bee balm and milkweed and some native grasses. So we're starting our meadow. And the goal is for these plants to like continue to flow down that way, so that we don't have to keep seeding the meadow, because the seeds, it's really hard to start a meadow with just seeds. You kind of need some plugs in there as well. So this is an experiment. We'll see how much we're able to
What do the plugs
done.
do?
Yes.
What do the plugs do?
Yeah, what's the
So
difference?
a plug is like a seedling. So it's just like a smaller plant that you plant into the ground, where a seed, you kind of have to like
So it
let
helps
it
it
go.
root?
Yep, helps it root. And then the plants that we planted are, they're really good at spreading.
Okay.
So we have like brown eye Susan, black eye Susan and stuff in there. So they'll just spread on down, hopefully. We'll see how far we get. We'll definitely keep planting plugs at least once a year in order to really carve this whole thing out and make it more of a meadowland.
So have you had any invasive?
Oh my gosh, we have so much invasive plants here. But some of them are very useful. So like we have a lot of this curly dock, which is a medicinal herb. So we're trying to like save some of it, get rid of some of it. We have some artemisia here, some mugwort. So the stuff that's useful we try to save, but some of the other grasses and stuff, they just don't really serve a function or purpose. And we do have a lot of clover too, which is non-native, but it's very beneficial. And then we have 7 bee colonies back up in that little alcove. We try to hide them as much as possible, so keep them hidden. So we just started them this year, so we won't be able to produce honey this year. We'll start next year. And then here is where our orchard is. All of these little, each of these 2 poles is a plant that we planted. In this one, you can see how much deer pressure we have, because they ate this thing down. What were you? This was a persimmon tree, and now it's a persimmon stick. So, so we'll have to get a little bit better about like putting the wire. Like we wired some of them, but not all of them when we planted them. We have like some blueberry bushes and stuff that you can see the deer got to. So we're working on protecting these plants as much as possible.
What about that persimmon tree, which is not a persimmon stick?
So that they survive. Go ahead. And now we're getting up into our pond area, which we worked with Nature Sacred to design and install. So this is technically a sacred space. So this is the moon gate that you're passing under.
Ready?
I'm not sure yet. This is one of the persimmon trees, one of the older ones.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever had a persimmon before?
I don't think so. I've seen them,
Yeah.
but I don't think I've had them.
They are really sweet. They taste like apricot.
Okay.
Apricot, however you say it. Apricot. But like a little bit sweeter. And then this here is our Ancestral Stone. So people who want to come and pay homage to their ancestors or people who have passed on, they come and sit here, just like Hayden's doing, and think about them. think about them, they can either sit on the rock or sit on the grass. We also have a notebook in our greenhouse that we keep. We call it the Ancestor Book of Names. So people can like write, you know, whatever they're thinking down in that notebook. So here's our pond. So yeah, this is a false riverbed. So I told you we're working on our stormwater management plan.
Yes.
So if there's ever an overflow of water from, because we're kind of downhill, the water will come down and like go through the property line into this little ditch area, and then it'll go into the pond, and any overflow will flow into another ditch that's on the other side, and there's a lower pond down at the bottom of the meadow there, where it'll just sit until it dissipates into the soil.
How far down does the forest go? Does it border the river?
No. So there's there's only 7 acres of woods back here. There used to be a stream that ran through here, but it no longer runs. It was culverted back in the 70s to make room for development. So it no longer runs as a stream, but we're working on a grant to daylight the stream. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in the future.
I want to get closer to this pond
Yes.
because
Good job.
I love how this is kind of hidden away. Does the deers come and drink? I said, do the deer come and drink?
Oh yeah, we used to have, we had a wildlife camera set up right here, and we saw the foxes and the deer and the raccoons swimming in the water. We have some frogs and fish and turtles in here as well. So this is the notebook that I wanted to show you from people who come sit by the pond. There's like a little cubby in that bench, and so they just pull it out. There's a pen in there too, and they just write down whatever they're thinking. Oh, there's more. I love this. There's one entry in here is about there were two folks here who were celebrating being sober, and so they were saying this, offering gratitude. So it says, thank you, whoever farm this is, offering gratitude for us really creating this space for them to be able to think. Can you put that back in the cubby when you're done? Thank you.
Somebody who was here with that dog who looks like Luna wrote down something. What day was that?
That was Saturday.
What number?
Ooh, girl, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, down to 15.
This was not here the last time I was here.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Wow.
So this is the city park that we've been stewarding. So you kind of cross from the farm into the woods, and we've been carving out these areas for like seating. Folks come here and have lunch. There are some other areas
Wait,
around.
Mommy, before you go, could you read this?
Not right now, baby. I'm doing
Please.
something later. We have all day.
Right now.
And then we have these other areas. We can walk down, actually. My son was actually in the summer camp that we ran, so he's very familiar with this forest because they spent pretty much all summer in here. So we have like these other, that's the balancing zone, so kids will just jump from stump to stump on there. There's another gathering area back in that way. And then we have some other seating areas back here. One of the original plans for this site was that like we wanted to have like an outdoor classroom or just one basic mud kitchen area. But then I visited the, what is it called? The Bear Legacy Trail up in Howard County, and I loved how all of their play spaces were throughout their woods. So it really like you wanted to walk through the space because you wanted to see what was next.
You were enchanted. You were
yes, like you couldn't wait to get
you.
to the next structure. And so we really sort of adopted that motto of creating these little nooks and crannies throughout the entire forest, so people don't just go to one area and then hike back out. We want them to experience the entire space. So down a little bit, a little ways. How much time do we have?
20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay, so we can go. Let's go on a little hood hike.
It feels so good in here.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
I've read that in the forest, it's about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than it is without shade, and that's why a lot of communities of color are doing these environmental justice campaigns to get trees planted in their neighborhoods because of the urban heat island effect. It's like 5 or 10 degrees hotter in the inner city than it is out in the surrounding counties.
So what did this look like before you guys started working on it?
So it looks like that. It was just a hot mess.
So there was no sign of the previous park?
No. So this parkland was donated to the city in 1978. They had never done any work in this park. They had never maintained it. They never started a trail. So this trail you see is actually the first trail installed in here, and we just like raked it back, and then we lined it a little bit with some down trees and limbs that we found. And then I'm taking you to our mud kitchen and our future outdoor classroom. Right here. So over there is our mud kitchen, where you can see we have like some tools and pots and pans for the kids to play with. And then on this side, where they've come and the city's come and cut down some of those trees to make space for our future outdoor classroom. So we've designed this space in partnership with our local public schools. So the 4 or 5 public schools we have around here, the students, the teachers, they came here, and like our landscape architect had like these big maps, and the kids were like taping and gluing and stapling things that they wanted to see. And what was really profound about that workshop was that we found the kids were saying, like, I'm sick of these outdoor classrooms that just look like indoor classrooms. When I'm outside, I want to feel like I'm outside. So I don't want to sit on a bench. I want to sit on a log. I don't want to see like a blackboard or a whiteboard. Like, I really want to experience my environment. And that was really profound, like coming from like 3rd graders. We were like, okay, well then show us, like, we really wanted those students to show us like what kind of environment they would be interested in learning in, and also asking the teachers what kind of environment they would be interested in teaching in, so that we can develop that here, co-create, co-design the space. And then in the spring, so we'll be building an outdoor classroom over the winter, and then in the spring those same students will come back and do some environmental education field trips here. So we'll be doing like plant identification, tree identification, we'll probably do some pond studies, really just making use of this space more holistically, because right now, like, well, for the past 40 years it hasn't been used at all. Okay. So now we're really making use of it for community benefit.
So something I didn't get on to before is that you are an Open Society Institute fellow. What does that mean, and how did that come to be? I'm sure it had to do with the space at some point, right?
Yes. So the Open Society Institute Fellowship, or OSI Baltimore, is an 18-month fellowship where they award you some money to really flesh out an idea or a big grand vision that you have. And of course, this was my big vision. And I was working in a hospital full-time as a nurse while I was still running this thing. And I was like, I really need like the freedom to be able to implement the things that I want to implement. Like, I need to be able to be free during the day to have meetings and to meet people and to interface with the city and interface with all these other organizations. Like, I can't only be available on the weekend, or I can't only be available because I was a night shift nurse. So when I got off at 7 a.m. in the morning, I'm done. Like, don't talk to me at all. And so like I needed more time and more freedom. And so once I was awarded that fellowship, I sort of decreased my hours slowly at the hospital until in May, I recently left completely. So this is my full-time job now. Really just working here and building the site, working with our community members, and just really engaging them and seeing, like, again, like how they want to use the space and what's coming up for them as they're walking through here.
I think this is such an amazing, it's so beautiful. I think one of the things is it's been very beautiful to see Kai feel so comfortable in this space. And, you know, there was a time their children felt free, right?
Yeah.
You know, and about being in outdoor spaces.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think, because I haven't been used to this space, I see Kai moving, I'm like, oh, he's gonna hurt himself, and but just so free, like how I think it should be. So I just think this is amazing, and I can't wait to kind of even see what happens next. One of the things I want to make sure we get is the address of this place.
Yeah.
And say it slow so people can get it. So
the
tell us.
address is 5105 Plainfield Avenue. Plainfield is one word, and we're in the 21206 zip code. So if you know anything about Baltimore, like I said, we're right off of Bel Air Road and Frankfurt Avenue, right down the street from St. Anthony's Church. There are not that many landmarks in this neighborhood, unfortunately. So those are the only two I got for you.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and one thing that you mentioned about, my son feeling, comfortable in this space. When I was running the Baltimore chapter of Free Forest School, that was one of the things that I had to get over of like, no, stop, be careful, because like kids, they know their bodies and they know not to be careful, but like in the moment when they're engaging in risky play and you say something like be careful, you sort of like jolt them, and that is usually when they fall. So I really had to like sit on my hands when we were out there and just like not even pay attention to him while he was, or Corey too, while they were playing, just so I didn't like cause harm to them. But yeah, they're very comfortable now out here and in nature. We have this rule that as long as you can see me and I can see you, you can pretty much do what you want.
I love it.
And if you need me, we have like a wolf howl thing that we do. So like if they're in here and I'm up there and I hear them howl, then I'll come running in here to see if they need something. Usually it's nothing. I just want to know that you'll come.
Can we get a demonstration?
Can we get a demonstration? I don't know. Kai sometimes. Kai, can you howl? So he'll howl, I'll howl, and then we keep howling until we find each other.
I love your howl. It's really good.
Can we also get times, if there are any specific times of when the garden's open?
Oh yeah. So usually someone is here during the day, Monday through Friday, from about 9 to 2. On Saturdays we're here doing food distribution from 9 to 12, and Sundays is very spotty. But if you go to our website and you send us an email saying, what time you want to come, just, that just lets us know that, all right, somebody needs to be here. None of us live too far, so we're like, okay, let me run around the corner real quick.
What's your website, social media?
Yes. Website is backyardbasecamp.org. Instagram is backyard_basecamp. Facebook is just Backyard Basecamp. We're on Twitter too, but it's a lot for me, so just don't even do it. Facebook or Instagram, please.
I want to know, so for instance, like your food distribution, are there additional hands you need for that, or are you good? You got enough people?
Yeah, it's usually about 3 of us here. So myself, our farm manager, and our production manager are usually here running it, and it runs really smoothly. Like people pull up, we ask them how many boxes they want. That's the only question we ask. We don't need to know who you're giving them to, how many people live in your house. We don't need all that information. Just how many boxes you want. You sure that's it? You want to add another one? We'll upsell it a little bit, and then we'll give you your boxes, and you can go.
So because we have a wide audience, are there any kind of organizations you'd like to be working with that you have for the future, so we can kind of put it out there? Because some, our viewers have many talents. So you talked about talents and treasures, right? Yeah. So and they have treasure. So I want to make sure that we're utilizing this to the fullest.
To the fullest? That is a really good question. I feel like the folks that we have been engaging are the ones that we want to engage with. Okay. If we're not engaging with someone that we want to engage with, it's because we just haven't met them yet. Okay. But we're open to all sorts of collaborations, like whether you're in like an arts-based organization. We love that intersection between art and nature. If you heard about the cicada parade that was happening across Baltimore, we had like some artsy cicadas that we hung up around around the spot. And yoga, anything really. Like we're open to any collaboration as long as it makes sense. But yeah, we're pretty open.
Do you have any programs coming up? Like as fall and winter come upon us.
Yes.
Is there anything that you guys are doing that we should know about?
Yeah, so on Halloween, actually, we're having our Harvest Festival, which is a very big event. People will be dressed in costumes, and we'll be here doing face painting and henna. There will be no candy, but there will be sweets. We're trying to move away from the candy culture of Halloween. we'll do an ancestral ceremony, bringing it back to the original roots of Halloween, which was really about honoring the dead. Yes. And we'll have some vendors here. What else is happening? So many happening. Oh, we'll have pony rides. There'll be Baltimore Arabers here. Baltimore Hoop Love will be here doing a hoop demonstration. We're also trying to have a cooking demonstration with some of the produce. So we may have some sweet potatoes, some sweet potato greens for you to try.
Do you work with Crystal Foreman at all?
I know Crystal Foreman because we're a part of the Farm Alliance of Baltimore. We have not worked together, but I do know of her and the work that she does.
So we've worked with Crystal Farm in the Pratt test kitchen. That's like one of the things that we've done, and that's why I was wondering. Because I know that, you know, this, they say small to more, like there's always this connection.
Yes.
So we're going to be wrapping up here. I just want to thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, this amazing paradise, my oasis right here, in my backyard, not that far from where I live. So I'm going to bring it back over to Sophia as she's going to wrap it up. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, both of you, Atiya and Kinshasa, for joining us this afternoon for another Pratt Test Kitchen community feature. If you haven't come and visit us at any of our open Pratt locations already, please do so. And with that, we are going to sign off for the afternoon. Thank you, our wonderful audience, for joining us as well. You're all great. Stay safe. Take care. Don't touch anything you're not supposed to. And have a good rest of your day.
All right.